Welcome back to Brands Hatch. We're going to do one final show, and this is a little bit of a special show, something that we've not done before, but something that's equally as important as talking to the riders and talking to team members and staff within the teams. One thing we can't do, we can't go racing without marshals and start staff and pit lane staff. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a chat with Olga Budimir. Olga's been marshalling for a long, long time, as pretty much the most experienced person we could have sat with us, and she's lovely as well. That's the good thing. We like lovely people on the show. Olga, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Very well, very well. A bit cold, a bit chilly this morning.
But it's sunny this morning now.
Fantastic.
That makes it better than yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was horrendous, yeah. But no, it's good. It's good. And the last races of the season, fantastic. It's all down to the wire, very exciting. But, you've got to keep your eye on what's going on. So, yeah. Very excited to see what happens tomorrow.
I'll ask you at the end who you think's going to win it. We'll save that right until the end. So I'll give you a bit of time to think about that one.
Oh, dear.
What I wanted to do, because we can't go racing without marshals, so what I'd like you to do is tell me about marshalling. You've had a huge amount of experience in Orange and stepping up into pit lane now. Tell me the story.
Yeah, so I started, I can't remember how long ago it was now. I keep forgetting in my head how long ago it was. But I started with club racing with BSB, actually here at Brands Hatch. That was my first taster of it. And then somehow I decided, because I used to ride bikes as well, and I used to watch it on TV. And then I thought, it'd be great to go and see racing. And then my nephew brought me to Brands Hatch, started to marshal with BSB. And then I thought, I'd like to go and see Valentino Rossi. And I can't really afford the tickets for Silverstone. So I thought, and I saw a crash and I saw all these orange people run out, and I thought, I could have a go at that. And so I did. Then I started with BSB. I started on clearways. I think I had John McGuinness fall off with me, and I was sort of waving the yellow flag, and one of my friends said, you were on television and John McGuinness fell off with you. And I was like, who's John McGuinness? And so, that was, and then I thought it was just fantastic. And I thought, I could go around the world and do this as well, couldn't I? And so I persuaded this poor marshal to come with me, and we ended up going to Laguna Seca and marshalling for MotoGP at Laguna Seca. And then it sort of carried on, and then I started to do more BSB events, and then I tied in and did more. I did Phillip Island, which was fantastic. I was the first female to marshal pit lane for MotoGP in Sepang. They'd never had a woman marshal there before. In pit lane, they have marshals out on track. That was exciting, but very, very hot. Then I did Indianapolis. I've done Kota a couple of times, Assen a couple of times. But the more I went abroad, the more then I just carried on doing more and more with BSB. I ended up in pit lane because I broke my arm, so I couldn't really wave a flag. And it was okay. I mean, I was physically okay, but I just couldn't, for long periods, wave a flag. So I came into pit lane and then just really fell in love with the organisation of it all. Pit lane's quite different to when you're trackside, you're sort of waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for that bike to fall, waiting to put out a flag, that sort of thing. Whereas in pit lane, you've got to be proactive. There's always something going on. There's always something happening in pit lane. And then when we go racing, it's just bedlam. It's just, the minute we finish one race, we're on to the next race. And there's lots of different, start line procedures and things like that you have to be aware of. There's lots of rules that you have to be aware of, and there are lots of different things to do in pit lane. So the pit lane mobiles, the marshals in orange, they're always running up and down pit lane doing lots of different things. And then I progressed to start line about 8 years ago. This is my 8th year in black and white, and then this year I've been the official starter, so now I put the red lights on and hopefully switch them off and do the checkered flag as well at the end, so relief when they go past.
And this is all on a voluntary basis, and this is all stemmed from starting in the brilliant orange overalls. Yeah.
So it was you just sort of get addicted to it. And what I hadn't realised when I first started as a marshal is what a real family this is. When I first started marshalling, I just thought, it'll be a load of blokes going around on motorbikes, and there'll be a lot of blokes everywhere, which was quite appealing, I have to say. But what I didn't realise was what a great family atmosphere it is. You know, you've got the teams have got families, the riders have got families, the marshals have got families. The marshal campsite is fantastic. The camaraderie that goes on in the campsite, and you find that sometimes people, you know, don't stay in the campsite, and the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, I wish I was staying in the campsite," because the camaraderie is fantastic. You know, in the summer we have barbecues. In the winter, you know, somebody's got a caravan or a motorhome that's got the heater on, and we all cuddle up around it. And we have good facilities in the campsite as well. And everybody, you know, if there's a marshal that needs help with something, you know, if the car's broken down or, you know, something's missing in the motorhome, somebody else will you know, they'll come and help them and that sort of thing. So it's a great camaraderie. And then what you find is you'll get marshals that tend to work in teams, or they'll work with people that they know. And I initially didn't think that was a great idea, that you were always working with the same people, because I thought it could bring out a sense of complacency. But actually, you then have this great teamwork going on, and you almost have a sixth sense of what the other person's going to do or not going to do. So actually, it's really good. And then there's not just on television, people will just see people waving a flag or people running out to pick up a bike and that sort of thing, or sometimes keep fighting riders apart.
It doesn't happen very often.
No. So, but actually there's a lot of stuff that goes on. We have the whole recovery team. So we have the recovery vans that go around and pick up the bikes, sometimes in pieces, and then, you know, and then have to get them back to either scrutineering or back to the teams. Then we have the taxi bikes. So the guys that go around on we have a female marshal that's on a taxi bike, and she will take the riders around, get them back to the paddock as quickly as possible. So there's roles there. We have it's an electric vehicle that goes around that would clear the track. It's got water on there and chemicals on there that we can use to clear the track. So we have a marshal that drives that as well. And then we also have volunteers in the office to do office admin and stuff like that. And then some more people, you know, in black who help with the grid setup, people getting on the grid, and then the clearance of the grid as well. So there are lots of different roles, volunteer roles, that are there within the whole BSB community. So, you know, we call it marshalling, and everybody immediately thinks there's somebody running to pick up a bike, but there's a lot more that goes on that people just don't realise. And so if you want to get involved...
Hang on, I asked the questions. We'll get to that bit. Yeah. No, I'm only kidding. That's the important thing to get across is it isn't just stood on a corner in orange waving flags, but people absolutely love that. They don't particularly want to move on to being a taxi bike or move on to pit lane. Yep. They've done that for years and years. That's what they do. They have the same crew every time they go out, and they're a little travelling family almost to whichever racetrack they can get to, and they are absolutely happy doing that. So if anybody's interested in marshalling, it's not just standing on the corner waving flags and separating riders, as we've seen recently. There's so many other opportunities as well. So you can answer your own question now.
Oh.
How do we find out about marshalling, Olga? What happened? What's the process? How do people apply, and then what happens?
If you want to get involved with BSB, then if you go to the RACESAFE.org, all the details are there. We go live for applications in November. Although if you write now and put your interest in, it will get answered. So you apply in November, and then in February we have a 2-day training session where you're taken through how to pick up a bike, scoop control, how to use the fire extinguishers, always stand upwind. Is it upwind? Yeah, of the fire extinguishers. And you get to experience, you know, putting bikes out. Then you get the rules on the flags, and we use light panels now. So there's a lot more that's involved in. So now it's not just about waving flags; it's more about the light panels that we use and things like that. Also some of the sort of rules and things like that. And then you get to come out and have a go. And we can only teach so much in a classroom, and we can only teach so much when you're there at the training sessions, but the most training comes out on track, and we don't ask you to do anything that you're not comfortable doing. There are some people that don't want to go and pick up a bike, and that's absolutely fine. You know, if you want to just wave a flag, you can just wave a flag. So it's really up to you what you feel comfortable doing, and you don't have to do every single race, you know, or every race weekend. So you can just race your local track. So if Brands Hatch is local to you, then you could just do all the Brands Hatch events, or if, you know, Alton Park is close to you, then you can just do the Alton Park events. What we do ask is that you always do a Saturday and Sunday, but what happens is you'll just get the bug and you'll end up having the Friday off work for some reason, and you'll do the Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Turn up Thursday night, get set up.
Yeah, and then you'll find that you're doing the Alton Park, and then you're doing the Donington one, and then you think, oh, well, I must just try, you know.
Well, there's so many different facets to a family of corner workers, and corner workers, and a marshal section post.
Yeah.
Is that right? Marshal.
Yeah.
The marshal post.
Marshal post.
There's a marshal post.
Yeah.
Because you see there are spotters who don't touch the bikes or don't wave the flags. They're literally watching. If you remember Cal.
Yes.
Silverstone.
Yeah.
Spotters watching what's down the track to keep the marshals safe as well. So not everybody goes straight to the bike. Yeah. There's a structure to eat. Is a 4 on each corner?
Oh, it depends.
Does it vary?
It varies depending on what the corner's like.
The history of the corner.
Yeah, so some corners, like here at Paddock Hill, I mean, we had a massive crash yesterday where both the riders were very lucky there. One came in after the other. It just depends on, you know, if it's what we could think of as a quiet corner, then they'll have less marshals on that corner. So
historically some corners are more susceptible to slip-offs than others.
Yes.
So which is it's interesting how they work it out.
Yeah.
So you don't need 5 on each corner.
I marshalled Hawthorns for 3 years, and we hardly had anything. I think we had Shaky had a bit of a crash. We had Josh Brooks blow up. Absolutely, really nothing happened. And it was like, oh, it's a bit boring here, isn't it? I left it to come into pit lane, and my first year, we had bikes over the barrier. Well, we had
Mason Law planted one in the tree, didn't he?
He did, and then he tried to climb up into the tree to get it out, you know. And it's like, what are you doing? And I said to them, I sent them a message, and I said, I'll leave you alone for 1 minute, and it all goes belly up, and it's carried on ever since. And actually, we look at that every year. There's a track inspection that's done before every single race meeting. Stuart goes round with the chief marshal and the safety officers, and we look at all the aspects and we change things. We're always looking to improve safety, to look after the marshal. So now at Hawthorns, we have red zones where no one's allowed to go. No cameraman, no one's allowed to go in those areas, and that's constantly reviewed. Safety is a big aspect here. It really is. And not here. I meant with BSB.
Within the series,
within the series,
absolutely,
definitely. And we're always looking to progress and improve things. So. But it is really good fun. It really is. Now we're getting to the end of the season. I'm like, I'm exhausted. And I know, and I'm thinking, 2 more sleeps and it'll all be over. And I know come sort of March, I'll be like, 16 more sleeps and we can go racing again, or whatever it'll be, So
16 more rounds.
Yeah. So
you're playing the winter green soon.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And then, of course, we get involved with the World Superbike Series.
Yes.
Which is really good at Donington. And that's again is quite different because they have slightly different rules, and pit lane is very, very different. And same for MotoGP. MotoGP is even more different. It's just they've just got such a way of doing things that is quite different to us, and it's just trying to get your head around how Dorna want to do things, which is a bit odd, but we get through it.
From what I gather, the Bennett's British Superbike Championship pit lane procedures and everything else runs far more smoothly than the Dorna way. From what I'm led to believe, anyway. So, what's been your best experiences being a marshal? So, if you were going to sell it to somebody who's sat at home watching now or listening in the car on the way to work, who's maybe thinking, do you know what? Sounds all right to me, but tell me some of your experiences that you've had even just basically in Orange when you first started.
I think it's got to be seeing Valentino Rossi outside of his garage and having him walk past me, stuff like that. On the international level, on the BSB level, it's just the excite when I think for me the most exciting point is when they all come to the grid and they're all on the grid, and and the music plays and they're just about to set off, and it's just, you've no idea what's going to happen in this race, no idea at all, and it's a mixture of adrenaline, and now I get to press the button, it's even more adrenaline and nervousness and anxiousness, and it's like, is it, will they, they're off, sort of thing. So and you're sort of always on tenterhooks is it, are we going to go, are we
start delayed.
Rain, no, raining, not raining, is it raining, isn't it raining?
Donington Park race, prime example, sprint race.
That was just, it's just so complicated there because they hadn't had dry practice, so they were entitled to a sighting lap. But we're trying to work out the last time we did an extended sighting lap period from the grid. And I think I was talking to somebody who said they thought we may have done it in 2007 at Knockhill.
Okay.
So that's how.
It's a while ago.
That was such a rare. We've done it from Pit
Lane from a few times.
Yeah, we've done it from Pit Exit, but we've never done it when they've all been
actually all been sat on the grid and the grid's formed and ready. The fascinating thing, this is all voluntary.
Oh yeah.
This is the bit that without
we do get fed. And marshals live on their stomachs. There's lots of cake eaten, lots of cake. If you can bake cakes, if you can eat cakes, marshalling is for you.
Marshalling's for you. That's what I was just going to ask you, because it is from a voluntary perspective that everybody does what they do, which makes it so important of being a marshal, being in the black and white, of being of the start crew. What benefits does a marshal have? What benefits do a marshal get in terms of a race weekend?
Well, they get the best view in the house without a shadow of a doubt. You get the opportunity to meet the riders. I know all the riders and chat to them quite easily. I even now play golf with Cal Ride, who's a bit of a bandit, let me tell you. And you get a guest pass, you get a hot meal and a drink, a programme, and then the chance to wander around the paddock, pit lane, when at the end of the day or whenever, access to all the riders, and to also be on the inner workings of it, which is and know what's going on, who's moving where before most people do. So if you're into motorbike racing,
tell them.
I'll be killed.
No. Silly season. Come on, where's Jacko going? Come on, Olga. Where's he going?
No.
Got eyes like a hawk.
Sometimes the teams will tell you things. It's quite funny. They forget who you are and they sort of start telling you things. So, but it doesn't work the other way around. So if a rider's fallen off, I know on the radio what the condition of that rider is, or the initial condition of that rider is, and I will often have the teams come up to me and say, "How is he? How is he?" And I can't say anything, because it's not my position to tell them anyway. But also, it could be really bleak. But also, what's come over the radio isn't necessarily what's going to happen or what is happening. And the best thing for them to do is to go to the medical centre. That is the downside of racing. But the upside is that all the fun things that happen, the laughs that you have with the teams and the riders, and you get to know the teams, they get to know you. You can, as a marshal, you can wander around the paddock whenever you want. As I said, you get a free ticket, and often if you have a free ticket, a guest ticket, and if somebody else might have a guest ticket they're not using, so you can give that to your mum and dad or whatever. So so it is, once you get into it, you can't stop.
Brilliant. Just one more time into that camera, tell people how they can apply and where to go to with the RACESAFE organisation.
Okay. So if you want to join our merry band, it's www.racesafe.org. Applications open November. It'll all be over social media, and there'll be training, 2-day training in February. You don't have to do every single weekend. As long as you can do a Saturday and a Sunday at your local track, you'll be more than welcome. But do prepare, because once you're in it, you won't want to give it up.
Brilliant, Olga. Thank you so much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If that's what you want to do, if you want to have find out about it, racesafe.org, have a look. If it's something you think you can help out with, even if it's just 1 round, 3 rounds, but as Olga says, you'll get the bug because that's what it does. So brilliant, Olga. We have to let you go because the Superbikes are out on circuit, as we can hear, and you've got an incredibly busy couple of days coming up. So thank you so much. It's been lovely to see you.
Thank you, Dave.
We'll see you over the weekend, and fingers crossed for a safe and successful weekend.
Yes.
Thanks, Olga.
Thanks.